Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are tackling my May favorites. I have a pile of products here in front of me. It started small and kind of got a little bit bigger. I was initially thinking, wow, I only have 4 things to mention today. We're at more than 4 now once I really started digging and thinking about what I was using this month. But hopefully not too overwhelming. A couple of these are repeat favorites. Some of these have even been discontinued, so that could be a good or a bad thing, but it's gonna be a fun one. I have some really good stuff to share with you guys today. But before we get into that, I wanna wish a special welcome to my new visitors. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel before you leave and make sure that your notifications are turned on. And with that said, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with some face products. First off, I have a foundation. This is a repeat favorite that I pulled back out and has just been reminded of how good of a foundation this is, and that's the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation. This thing's been around forever. In fact, mine is getting a little bit old. It actually looks like it's kind of separating in here. I need to get a move on and finish using this. I think I've repurchased this foundation a couple of times. I'm sure it's made into favorites videos in the past, but it's been a while since I've talked about it, even since I've used it, and I've just been reminded recently of how good of a medium coverage foundation this is from the drugstore. It comes out a little thick and heavy, but it goes on beautifully whether I'm using a sponge or a brush. Today I'm wearing it and I put it on using a brush, and it's not streaky at all. It has fantastic coverage. It wears really well. For me and my dry skin, we just really get along really well. I love this foundation. It's so great. Let's talk about some concealers. I have 3 concealers to mention today, and they're all kind of for a different thing or have a different thing that I love them for. Let's start with this one right here. I think I mentioned this one last month. It's the Revlon Color Stay Flux Wear Concealer, particularly this shade. This is the darker shade. I like them both. I mean, I always love having 2 shades of concealers, one to use kind of on the perimeter, one to use in the center to kind of brighten and use as an eyelid primer. But this particular color especially, I love this for my hyperpigmentation marks on my skin. It has fantastic coverage. You have to blend it out really quickly because it does kind of dry down and set down quickly, but this stuff is so long wearing. This has great wear time on me. You do not need to use a lot of this. I imagine if you have dry skin, you probably want to be careful with how much of this product you use because I think it can be a little bit on the drier side. But again, because the coverage is so high, I really do not need to use a lot of this. And it just does such a great job concealing some of, I have these really troublesome patches, like some hyperpigmentation marks up here. I have this really stubborn one here that it covers so well and stays covered. And even when I'm using cream products on top of it, it seems to be a little bit more budge proof underneath those products than some other concealers can tend to be. So big fan of this. I think it's a great drugstore long wearing concealer if you're looking for something long wearing. I want to re-mention my Physicians Formula Butter Glow Concealer. You guys know I love these concealers from Physicians, this concealer from Physicians Formula. I use a couple different shades, but this particular shade, this is the lightest shade that they offer. This is Fair to Light. This makes for a fantastic eyelid primer, particularly underneath the brows. If you like something really bright, almost like a white base to sort of blank out your eyelids, this is so good for that. I love the undertone of this. It has a very subtle yellow undertone to it. And I would imagine if you have really fair skin, sorry guys, the sun is rising in front of me and I've got these weird light leaks that are coming through, bouncing off my desk. Is it still there? Sorry, I got a little distracted by the reflection of the sun bouncing off of my desk. Anyways, this particular shade, if you have fair skin, I think this is such a good shade of concealer for those of you with really fair skin, especially if you have dark circles and you're looking to counter some cool undertones. Really nice, subtle yellow undertone to this that just is beautiful. On the eyes, I love just using it kind of as an eyelid primer, even kind of in this pocket right here is a very touch of under eye concealer. It's very light for me. I would say this is about 2 to 3 shades. Too light for me, but I love it for my eyelids. And that leads me to this product from Cali Ray. I just did a video where I talked about this concealer. Honestly, I've had this for 6 days now, which is why I was very hesitant to mention it today because I feel like we're still getting to know each other. However, if you are looking to counter under eye circles, there are a couple things about this that I already know are amazing. It has a really strong pigmentation to it. I mean, it's a nice thin formula, but it has a ton of pigment in it and it does such a great job of just countering that under eye area right there. That said, this does not work great as a full-on eyelid primer because it it can move around just a little bit. It creases a little bit more than either of these two do. I really think it's just really specifically for brightening that under eye area if you have dark circles, and it does an amazing job for that. I've been wearing it for about 4 days now. I know that's not very long, but if under eye circles are a big trouble for you, I really think this is great. I have the shade Pale Sun, which is it's a very light, quite strongly yellow toned concealer, but it's not so yellow that I'd say it's like a corrector. It still is more of like a fleshy tone color than a true yellow. So it does conceal and color correct at the same time, which is really what it's meant to do. Very impressed with this for that purpose. It does give me that challenge where I use this just on this area right here, which means I then need to find something for my eyelids and also for the rest of my face. So I'm basically ending up using 3 different concealer formulas or shades, but I'm very impressed with how well this covers dark circles. I mean, it basically completely erases them. Next, another repeat favorite. I've been jumping back to my Anastasia Brow Freeze. I love this stuff. Now, there's a very specific way I like to use this. I don't like to use too much of this because it can really like plaster your eyebrows to your face, and I'm not a big fan of that very like super laminated kind of look. I know that was kind of like a trend for a while. I don't know if that's still going on right now, but I like using just a tiny amount of this to kind of brush through my brows. It's just a really nice kind of sticky formula. It does a pretty good job just setting my brows in place. Now, it's not like a hard set where if they get bumped throughout the day, these will move, but if you're not touching your brows or your eyes very often, they will hold up, and if a brow or two starts to fall, you can always just kind of brush it back up and it will last the rest of the day. I just really like the texture that this gives my brows. It gives them a little bit of fluff, a little bit of hold without them looking overly crunchy or too like undefined. It's like the perfect happy medium. Okay, let's talk about some brushes. I tried out the brushes from BK Beauty and Angie Hot and Flashy this month. I highly recommend this brush set. It's a great eye brush set. So like these 5 eye brushes right here make a great set if you're looking for just every brush that you would ever need for your eyes. I actually think this set is it's a little excessive. I don't use all 5 of these brushes for an eye look. I can probably get away with this large one is a must for sure. Either one of these two, depending on how detailed I'm getting in the outer corner, probably this one to be honest, unless I'm doing some under eye work, in which case I'd probably use this one. And then this packing brush right here is amazing. Now, if you don't need an eye brush set, or if you're looking for the standouts from this set, I'd have to say the standouts are this packing brush, which is just simply a flat brush. But let me just show you guys what I usually use. This is my Rephr flat brush, and look how much longer it is. I don't know, can you guys see that? So it's quite a bit longer. It has a really good reach. It's great for packing shimmer on the lid. I really have been happy with this and reaching for it very often over the last couple of weeks. I think I've had these for about 2 weeks now. And then this brush right here, this is the concealer. By the way, this one, sorry, I should tell you the numbers. The A505, the packing shimmer brush, and then the A506, which I think is called the concealer kitten paw brush. Wow, you guys, this is so good. I never thought I would be a brush fan to apply my concealer because I've always done it with either a damp sponge or even with my finger. I just never found a brush that I really liked how it applied my concealer, but this is so good. It gives you kind of the coverage that you would get with your finger with the quick blend time that a sponge would give you. It's like the best of both worlds. I love this brush. It does such a good job. You get better coverage from this than you do from a sponge, in my opinion. I've noticed some of my other concealers that when I use a damp sponge, I mean, they give me good high medium coverage, but when I apply, especially on like this spot right here, I mean, this thing is like the telltale. If something has ultimate coverage, it's gonna cover this up. Most things won't cover it up. And I find that with this brush, I get maximum coverage out of all of my concealers, which I absolutely love. So if you are looking for a single brush from the set or a concealer brush, I highly recommend this brush on its own. I think that you can buy these on their own. I'm actually not sure about that. I will link their website down below. You guys can go investigate for yourselves. The whole set is great. I even like the face brush, the bronzer slash blush brush. I've used this for both and I like it for both, but this one is really the standout. And if you like a good like packing shimmer brush, this one's also amazing. I have an eyeliner to share with you guys. It is not my Wet n Wild eyeliner. This I got in a K. This is from the brand, I think it's McQueen, New York. It's a K beauty brand. I got it on YesStyle. You can still buy this on YesStyle. I think it's like $2.50 the last time I checked. This is the Espresso Latte shade. It's basically like a black brown. The color kind of reminds me of a slightly cooler version of my Wet n Wild Simma Brown now. But if this pencil you did not like because it's not long wearing and you're looking for something more waterproof, this is like a waterproof version that's a little bit more gel-like and creamy than my Wet n Wild. I actually really like it. By the way, I swatched this on the back of my hand about an hour ago. I just want to show you guys. I mean, this is like, it will not come off. I mean, this is so completely budge proof. Now, I do sometimes feel like eventually, if your eyes are watering very severely, even the most waterproof of waterproof gel liners are going to sort of come off or flake off after hours of just crying or swimming or like real waterproof testing. But just for everyday wear, if you're looking for something more long wearing, this is very good, very affordable. Unfortunately, the only place I could find it was on YesStyle. I tried to find this on Amazon and I could not find it. But if you are not opposed to ordering from YesStyle and waiting 4 weeks to get an order in from Japan, then this is fantastic. I have a couple things from Sydney Grace, repeat favorites. I've pulled out my Unveiled palette, which I think was released last summer? Like, I think it was late summer, maybe fall. This was a release done by Kendra Matthews, who is a bridal makeup artist. When I think of bridal makeup, I think of something kind of smoky, kind of natural, maybe a little bit blush toned or bronze toned or cool toned. Like, those are the three type of looks I think of, and that's exactly what she included inside here. The perfect kind of slightly pink, like berry toned, that's a little bit soft, then some bronzes that aren't overly brown or warm. I mean, these bronzes are really interesting. They're very neutral bronzes. You guys know I like my warm tones, but these ones aren't overly warm for those of you that are kind of afraid of things turning kind of orange or too warm on you. And then you get these beautiful soft cooler tones down here. I'm actually wearing the cooler tones on my eyes today with this. It looks more warm and gold than it actually is. It's basically just like a beautiful warm champagne. It's so pretty on the eyes. And then this shade I have in my crease, which is the perfect, very neutral on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being very cold, 10 being very warm. This is like a 5.5. It's just slightly warmer. This one's a little bit warmer if you like something a little warmer in your crease, but I love this because it kind of like pulls a cooler tone look just a little bit more neutral. And you guys might know, if you watch a lot of my videos, I'm not a big fan of cool tones. I actually like warmer tones on me, but this type of a cool tone look with a subtle bit of warmth in my crease, I can get away with wearing, and I actually think looks beautiful and is especially very bridal appropriate. But of course you could use this for every day. They're basically just like pink neutrals, brown neutrals, and cool tone neutrals. It kind of is like the perfect neutral palette in my opinion. I also wanted to mention the Luminous Light palette. This I pulled back out from my stash recently. You guys, this is such a great palette. They have 3 shades of this. They have a dark, a medium, and a light. I have the light version. Love the blushes in here and the highlighter in particular. I like the bronzer a lot in here, but I've noticed mine lately has started to hard pan a little bit. I'm not sure why that is. What causes hard panning? That's something I've been wondering about. Like, what is it that some powder bronzers or blushes will hard pan where others will not? It's not that big of a deal. I mean, I can still get enough product out that it works for me. And I know there are solutions. I've heard people say you just get like masking tape or something and you can kind of get the hard pan off, but it is a bit of a nuisance. But still, I recommend this palette. It is so good just for the blushes and highlight alone. They're fantastic. This highlighter, it's very intense. I mean, this is like an icy, has the subtlest of pink undertones to it, but it's not too pink. I actually don't like highlighters that pull too pink on me. This one is just right. It's absolutely beautiful if you like something intense and some nice vibrant pink blushes. Speaking of highlighters, I pulled out my Natasha Denona Super Glow highlighter recently. I have the shade 2. I've had this highlighter for I think 5 or 6 years now, and I've kind of been back and forth on really liking it and not sure if I like it. It did break, or it did kind of like come out of the pan at some point. I had to repress it, and then it kind of sat in my drawer for a long time because I was afraid to pull it out and definitely afraid to travel with it. But I pulled it back out to try again recently in anticipation of an upcoming declutter, thinking this might be on the chopping block. And I have to say, you guys, I really love this highlighter, which makes me a little bit nervous about that upcoming declutter. You guys, it's gonna be so hard for me. I am terrible at getting rid of things. I know I've talked about this before, but especially my makeup, I just love all my makeup so much that I feel like cutting something, I might regret it later, which is silly because I have way too much. And I have a lot of people that could get more use out of so many of the things that just sit on my shelf for years. But anyways, I really have been enjoying this. I think it's a great highlighter if you like something more intense. It is the one that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. It just has a beautiful, strong, but almost natural looking, like not too textury looking, shimmery quality to it. It's so pretty. Darn it, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to declutter this one. I was kind of hoping that this would be one of the big ones that I was able to let go, but I think I'm gonna have to rethink that after trying this out again. Just a couple more things. I have a mascara. This is the Panda mascara from Tony Moly. I tried this out in my Amazon video that I did a few months ago. Just look at this packaging. I mean, just for the packaging alone, I think I may have already mentioned this in a favorites video because the packaging is just so stinking cute. But if you are looking for a truly waterproof mascara, this stuff is waterproof. I've been using it recently, just trying out some of my more like water resistant and waterproof mascaras for summertime. And this one was recently put to the test in a way that no other waterproof mascara I think I have ever tested. Quick little story to explain. We got an above ground pool this summer that I set up and I started filling with water, and I found that there was like a really small leak somewhere in it. So I put Charlie's snorkel mask on to try and like go under it was about 16 inches full at this point. And after an hour and a half on my hands and knees burying my face in 16 inches of water with a snorkel mask on and pulling it on and off, this stuff actually held up to that, which is incredible to me. I was sure that this would be smudged all over my face when I got back inside, but seriously, it looked like I had just put it on. That is very impressive. I don't think many of my mascaras, even my watery eye resistant ones, could hold up to that type of a test. That said, it is difficult to remove. You will need a makeup remover to get this off, or a melt to get this off of your eyelashes at night. But if you are not opposed to that, pretty good mascara that's super waterproof I am wearing on my eyelashes today, by the way. It's pretty good. I would say it's like an 8 out of 10 as far as like volume and length, but longevity, definite 10 out of 10. Speaking of the pool and being out in the sun, I also wanted to mention this is just a basic sunscreen stick from Equate. So I have been loving this. I've actually used this a lot over the last couple of years, but I use this for a very specific purpose. I'll put normal sunscreen all over my face, like just my face zinc sunscreen. But if I'm gonna be out doing yard work, or if I'm going to be maybe out in my pool, I will take this, and the areas that I get hyperpigmentation, which I have an area here, I have my spot right here, I sometimes above my lip in the summertime will get this kind of like pigment mustache that starts to appear. And even I've noticed an area under my eye here that has started to kind of like discolor a little bit. So I will put this on very heavily on my face. It looks terrible. I mean, I would not want to go to a public pool wearing this all over my face, but I'll even take a good like chunk of it, like that thick, and just like dab it all over, especially my really troublesome spots, and just leave it like that while I'm out doing yard work for a couple hours, just to really cover those spots that tend to get a lot of hyperpigmentation. And I think it's been helping because I've been outside a lot doing yard work, and with the pool situation, I need to stop talking about this pool. Seriously, it's been like consuming my mind for the last 2 weeks. But I mentioned that because I have been spending a lot of time outdoors over the last couple of weeks, and I've been really heavily applying this, and it's been doing a great job at just holding back that hyperpigmentation that tends to come during the summertime. So if you're looking for something to really mask some troublesome spots and you don't mind having kind of like a white cast on your face, this does a really good job. And that is it, you guys. I think those are all of my favorites from the month of May. What did you guys love this last month? Did you try anything new? Were there any old products that worked their way back into your routine that you refell in love with? I would love to know. But I hope you guys are doing well. Let me give you one last reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. You think after 7 years of collecting makeup, I would finally be able to like freely let go of things? I'm getting better, but especially with blushes and bronzers and highlighters and eyeshadows, it's really hard.